I'm feeling so alive, hearing the angelic sounds of our ancestors singing through the night for the supernova body. Listen to the realms of beyond, sacred wisdom healing my mind. Chakras align when I listen to supernova day. It's more than a podcast, it's a whole vibe. Expanding consciousness as you shift your mind. Tune into the supernova body so you can raise your vibration. Don't be afraid to make changes and create a new you. It's more than a podcast, it's a whole vibe. Expanding consciousness as you shift your mind. Supernova body, a cosmic party. New way of life, it's a supernova body. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to Supernova Body Podcast. This is episode 16, season 2. And today we are talking about a topic that is, disclaimer, heavy, okay? We are talking about sexual assault and what that can do to our life and our experience. So, if this is a topic that you cannot handle, have no interest in, or appreciate the trigger warning for, I ask you to politely find something else to do. And it's okay. Come back when you're ready. Come back or don't. If you never have an interest in this topic, that's fine. That's absolutely a-okay. But you may know somebody or have experienced yourself, or are just curious and you want to understand just for the purpose of having knowledge. So if this is something that you want to discuss and explore further with me today, then I suggest you tune in and keep it posted where you're at. And if it's just not the day, then come back another day or don't. It's up to you. Completely up to you. Free will. Okay. All right. Finding peace after sexual assault is a journey. It's not a destination, and it's unique for every single survivor, right? I don't necessarily use the term survivor. I usually say person, because we are people, and our experiences don't get to change or transform who we are, right? We can make it look like what we want to. So if I don't use the term survivor and use people, that is why. It often involves processing trauma, reclaiming agency, and rebuilding a sense of safety and self-worth. It is a testament to incredible resilience. And I will be the first to say, as someone that has experienced various levels of sexual assault, that I used to hate and still find issue with someone saying that I'm resilient, right? Because it wasn't by choice. Okay. What are the choices I had? It was either sink or swim. So that can sometimes, how it's phrased can sometimes feel very invalidating, and I understand. But if you are not bothered by that, fantastic. I just have to be myself authentically and speak to that. So again, today is finding peace after sexual assault, and the multi-dimensional process of what that looks like in a real way, with none of the flashy BS, just very blunt and vulnerable experiences that I'm sharing. All right, so I had a father and other family members that made some indecent decisions that warped my concept of self and obliterated my boundaries and capacity to establish healthy ones. Only in my father's death and through my choice to permanently distance myself from those family members was I able to find my voice, to no longer hide or feel shame about my experience as a child. My experience as a child set me up to experience negative, harmful situations of sexual assault in my adolescent years and shaped how I viewed myself, my value, my worth, and my capacity for joy. For these reasons, I became absolutely obsessed with healing all of those parts of me, so much so that I am a trauma informed specialist and holistic practitioner. I believe in considering the mind, body, and soul and adopting a holistic approach to healing using modalities like sound therapy, Reiki, massage therapy, color therapy, and breathing, just to name some. Talk therapy isn't for everyone, and for many, many, many years, it was not for me. I simply could not speak the past and relive it. I could not admit that these things happened to me. What would that make me? You know, what would people think of me? Um, while I did not share explicit details, I share enough, according to my limits and boundaries. So while I will not go into detail and I will not ever be explicit with you, I will share enough so that you understand that I have the capacity for this. I have done the work intimately so that I could have the capacity for this, not just for myself, but for other people. I chose this specialty to offer a space that I didn't have, to create an environment for healing that was broad and diverse. Because I specialize in trauma and neurodivergence does not mean I limit myself or spend all my time in this space, which is why all of our conversations have been about everything else, and today is the first time we've talked about it. I offer a hand to those in need and recognize that I am merely a conduit, okay? And if that means all I do is give a hug or a handshake, that's all that I will do. And I'm okay with that because I am no one's savior. I am not God, and I am not going to magically change somebody's life by a service that I offer overnight, right? And if God uses me to do something that is transformative in the life of someone else, that is still God. All right. Yeah. So let's get into it. I just had to preface this with my why, and why this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart because it was the catalyst that pushed me into healing in the first place, pushed me into physical therapy, personal therapy, personal training when I was a personal trainer, because I recognized in my own weight loss journey that all of the trauma from sexual assault was coming out as them pounds fell off. Okay. And it was important for me to provide a safe space to my clients, because what I realized is that a lot of people that I was training had sexual assault situations, had deep pain associated with experiences that they had in their life, and they were holding on to it and refusing to let it go and refusing to allow their bodies to nourish them. And later on in life, did I come across some books uh, like The Body Keeps the Score and Energy Anatomy by Carolyn Miss. And what is it? It's a book. I use it all. You Can Heal Your Life. Oh my gosh. You Can Heal Your Life. And several books by Jan Van Zant. And oh gosh, there's so many. Goddess. Queen Afua. Queen Afua has a book, and I can't think of the name right now, but it is Goddess something, and that was a very transformational book for me. But I digress. So yes, the healing path for sexual assault is it looks like no one else's, right? It is very unique and catered to you based on your experience, based on who perpetuated the sexual assault. My sexual assault experience may be very drastically different than others, based on who perpetuated the sexual assault in my life, and at what time, and what it did to my life, and the support and community that I had or didn't have around the situations, how I overcame them, what situations impacted me more than others, and so on and so on, and the decisions that I made because of those experiences later on in life. Like there was a, you know, it was a snowball effect. It just kept getting bigger and bigger until it finally hit a wall and something had to change. Okay. So the first step can be very different, but for the sake of this podcast episode, it's going to just kind of go according to a generic format. Okay. And acknowledge and validate that the trauma happened. And the first thing is to recognize that it was not your fault. Regardless of where you were, regardless of what you were wearing, regardless of who did it, regardless of what choices you made to get yourself in that situation, the sexual assault itself was not your fault. And it will never, ever be your fault. And regardless of what society tries to tell you, no. And you don't have to take ownership for something that doesn't belong to you. There's enough stuff along the process of healing that you have to take ownership for. And the fault for the situation is not one of them. It never will be, it never has to be. This is a truth, right? It's not an observation, it's not an opinion, it is a fact. It is 100% a truth, right? And regardless of who wants to shift accountability and blame to you, no, give it back. Okay, that's probably easier said than done because it's natural to blame yourself, even if you were a baby, even if you were an infant, even if you were a child. Especially if you were a child, there was an imbalanced power dynamic, and it was not on you. Okay, it was not on you. Sexual assault is profound violation to the body. Okay, autonomy and trust. It is a traumatic event with significant psychological, emotional, and sometimes physical consequences. The first book that really gave voice to how detrimental I felt that sexual assault was The Body Keeps the Score, because it compared the effects of sexual trauma to a veteran of the war, like a Vietnam vet, right? And what they noticed in the brain scans of a Vietnam vet and a sexual assault survivor or person that experienced it was that they had similar brain dysfunction, like similar masses on the brain, similar levels of distortion, where they were stuck in a loop, repeating the situation over and over and over again. They were just stuck there. It wasn't like they were reliving something that happened a long time ago. It was like their mind took them right back, and their body was having the same responses that they initially had, except over time, the responses got far worse. And so a sexual assault survivor has the brain comparable of someone that was in war. And when you look at it like that, you can see that the effects of sexual assault are far larger than what society may present to the world that they are. The other thing is sometimes sexual assault can not leave lasting consequences. Like it doesn't affect people in that way. It doesn't affect their brain. It doesn't affect their body. It doesn't affect them because for some reason they release it, they let it go, and they move on. And that is absolutely amazing and okay. What studies have found is that happens because of the community surrounding that person. Their ability to recover strongly depends and is because of the community that surrounds and uplifts and rebuilds that person. It enlarges their capacity. There are people in this world that simply don't have the community available. There weren't people that understood, or that person remained silent and told no one. So there was no recourse. As for me, I remained silent until I was 28 years old about things that had happened to me, experiences that I had, because of the shame and the guilt and the embarrassment. And I just could not bring myself to say it out loud. the other situations that were a result of that happened when I was in my adolescent years, I spoke, and my bounce back from those situations was way different than my bounce back from the initial situations that kind of ruined the boundaries that I had, right? So yeah. There are so many. It's hot, okay? It's hot and woo. I'm hot, so I'm gonna be probably touching my face, but moving on. um there are different impacts for each person, and they can be significant or they could be non-existent, right? It all depends on the person, but this particular episode is for the person that is kind of struggling, that may not have the community to bounce back, or may not have spoke about it. It may be something that's unspoken and people don't understand why you feel the way that you feel, and you just can't bring yourself to say it. Or you have said it and people didn't believe you, so now you have to act like, okay, fine, I'm a liar, when you know good and well you're not. This is for people that are still struggling with, maybe it was a dream, right? No, it probably wasn't. You're remembering and you're reliving a situation um, that happened, maybe not in this lifetime, maybe in another lifetime, and it's manifesting. Or maybe it definitely is this lifetime, and it's someone that you trusted, someone that you still trust. And the shame and embarrassment and confusion of all that is putting you in a space where you just cannot um, process it in a healthy way, right? So, okay. um, Again, the reactions that you may have, whether they're shock, fear, guilt, anger, depression, anxiety, flashbacks, disassociation, putting it in a box and act like it doesn't exist, difficulty sleeping, changes in your appetite, trust issues, challenges with intimacy, not wanting to be touched, developing certain reactions and aversions out of nowhere. They're all, call it, common and valid responses to trauma. However you respond, adopting new coping mechanisms, adopting things that may be negative in the moment, maladaptive characteristics and personality traits. It doesn't have to be like that forever, but in the moment, if that's where you're at, that's where you're at, and that's okay. What happened was major, it was massive, and we're not going to minimize it in this space. We're not going to make it small or palatable. The reactions and the feeling that you have are all valid and warranted. Okay, so here are some key pillars of healing. So, seeking professional help is sometimes the go to, right? Seeking out someone to help you through. And that can look very different. It is not a linear experience. I have had clients specifically that uh, react very well to Reiki, no touch Reiki, not touch Reiki where, hands are on, but hands off Reiki where it's just either distance Reiki or um, just hovering over the body. That experience alone has allowed them to release experiences, deal with things, process things in their own way versus the overall process of talk therapy, right? Talk therapy can sometimes be re traumatizing and not necessarily be beneficial. And studies have shown that it can produce a very negative reaction and response, which is why it's so important, if you are going to go the talk therapy route, to find someone that is trauma informed and specializes in helping people with traumatic experiences. Um, so I really like, in Body Keeps a Score, that Bessel van der Kolk talks about using techniques to go straight to the brain and rewire the brain and create neural pathways in the brain that are new, so that it's restructuring. And science has shown that psychedelics and using certain strains of mushrooms can also begin to rewire the brain and create new pathways that take a person out of the loop of trauma. So there are a lot of different ways that are extremely effective outside of talk therapy. However, if talk therapy is something that you think is very beneficial, again, make sure that they're using compatible modalities like trauma-focused CBT, or rapid eye movement desensitization, EMDR, somatic experience release. You can do that through yoga, through massage therapy, different ways of movement, of dance, of I wish I could think of the book, because Queen Afua has a whole amazing guided book that allows you to really confront and deal with some stuff in the safety of your home, or you could tap in with a community that's also reading the book and develop a sisterhood through reading it. Her son, I want to say his name is Supernova. Daggone it. Look up Queen Afua's son. I can't think of any of the books right now, but he has one for men that allows them to go through, or if you define as masculine and feminine energy, I'm not trying to, alienate any person, but he has a book for men that will help them and guide them through their own individual process. And I have not read it. I don't know if it focuses on sexual assault, but I know that Queen Afua's book does. It's such a good book too. So good. All right. So you could also do dialectical behavior therapy. And again, the holistic modalities that are available, I definitely recommend and encourage you to consider if this is your experience with life, because you don't have to go it alone. And if you didn't have community at the time of the event, doesn't mean that you can't have it now. And if people didn't respond to you with love and compassion at that time, doesn't mean you can't have it now. It's never too late to receive love that you should have got. It's never too late to receive what your body, soul, mind, and being needed at the time. Don't hold yourself back from having help and having love in whatever form that looks like, because it doesn't matter if it happened when you were 3. It doesn't matter if you're 77 now. If you just want to spend the rest of your life free from it, it's okay to get help. It's all right. It really is all right. And there are people in this world that have the capacity to hold all that is you. All that is you. They are ready. They've heard it all. And your story won't be something that shifts their experience or makes them stay up at night because of what you went through. They are able and capable to be a supporting and guiding person along your journey. And if I ain't the person for you, I can help you find them. Okay. So just get into it. Okay. Really lean into it. There are also rape crisis centers, hotlines specifically for sexual assault, and advocacy crisis counseling in the moment, like RAINN, which is RAINN, and the NSAH, which is the National Sexual Assault Hotline, which is 800-656-HOPE. That's HOPE. You could also chat online. They also have a feature where you could text them, so you can kind of, protect your privacy or autonomy or whatever. But there are support groups in pretty much every single state, city, or whatever. But if you feel that your specific sexual assault experience is different than anybody else, I'm telling you, there's a space for you. Reach out, okay? There is a space that is designed for you that will be safe for you, and somebody has a resource, and together we can find that. There is a network of social workers, and a social worker that knows a social worker knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, and they will work hard for you to get what you need. That's literally what they're trained and programmed to do, especially if they went to a HBCU. Okay. So all right. Prioritizing building a strong support system is vital, because this process is not linear. Okay, there are ups and there are downs. All right, and that's to be expected. And no one is expecting you to have the perfect healing process where you start today and you never have a bad day again. That's just not to be accepted because of what has happened. And that's okay. And if you do have a straight, linear, amazing journey where you don't have no bad day, hello, okay, congratulations. That is amazing. If by chance you don't, that's okay too. And that too is amazing because you're still choosing to get every day and rise and choose to be a better you for the sake of yourself and your happiness. And what that person did is not stopping you from living your life in any capacity, right? You are living the life that you were purposed to live, right? And there are a lot of experiences and feelings that you may have surrounding that, of uh, why me? Why is this my purpose? Why am I living this experience? Like, what? Um, and finding and understanding your why is integral also, so that that could be your anchor to keep you grounded on days when you don't see hope in the future. Um, and those days are okay. Having a support system around you and having a strong community means that you recognize that you're having those dark days, and you reach out to those people that are safe for you to reach out to and say, hey, hey, I'm holding on by the grace. I'm holding on by the hair of my chin chin chin. I am barely making it. And these people, these safe spaces can be a support in those moments because they are needed. And ensure that these people are non-judgmental. They don't have to try to fix nothing. Okay. um, that's not their job. They're just there to be a support, to be a shoulder to lean on, to hear you vent when you might not say everything that's right and politically correct, when you might not have a positive thought in your body, because toxic positivity is real, and every day is just not going to be perfect. It's not. I don't, that's not pessimistic. It's just facts. Like, all the manifestation and everything doesn't mean that you're still not going to grow. And growth sometimes is uncomfortable, right? But it doesn't mean it's for our bad, it's for our good. I digress. Selective disclosure is also a thing, okay? I don't tell everybody. Now, a lot of people might know, but there's so many people that have met me and have no idea and never will know the specifics or who or why or how or what or when, outside of the disclosure of the family members. Um, the main family member, and just, well, not even the main, just one of the family members I mentioned was a father. But other than that, um, you won't know who the other family members are because that's not relative. Um, and it's my business, okay? It's my choice to disclose what I disclose, when I choose to disclose, how I disclose it. It's my experience, and you don't get to choose what I tell you, how I tell you, or when. That is my business, okay? Very much so my business, and very much so my boundary that keeps me safe because of experiences I have went through that taught me that selective disclosure is the way to go. And setting boundaries as a result of that has helped me and is very crucial for protecting my energy, my sense of self, and anyone else's, because safety in all of our relations going forward is so important. Clearly communicating our needs and our limits will help us in the future make better choices and decisions in our life. Um, and then, okay, prioritizing self care and well being is paramount. What that looks like is so different for everyone. That may look like healthy isolation. There's a difference between unhealthy isolation, which leads to going deeper into the hole, and then there's healthy isolation, which is introspective and results in awareness and growth with the intent to reconnect with society at one point in time. Um, our physical health is so important. So, getting adequate sleep, nutritious food, which could look like something that's just comforting, or it could look like changing your diet to be something that aligns more with holistic living or health. Um, Regular exercise, choosing activities that make you feel strong, because sexual assault can sometimes make you feel so weak and so out of control, and not necessarily, you know, in a space where you feel you can change or do anything. So working out and doing activities that make you feel strong and feel like you're reclaiming your autonomy, like yoga, walking, or dancing, or kickboxing, or weightlifting. Those are things that can bring back that sense of self, that sense of I can do this, I've got this, I can protect myself. Um, Staying hydrated and regulating your nervous system. That could look like breath work. That could look like sound therapy, learning to be still, learning to just relax in the experience of you, water therapy, um, being able to just release in whatever way that is, rage rooms, letting go of the aggression and different feelings that you may have, regulating your emotions, um, mindfulness and grounding techniques uh, to manage anxiety and flashbacks when and if they happen, um, learning how to do maybe box breaths or visualization where you can take yourself and literally transform yourself to the beach so that you could just change your scenery mentally and be able to bring yourself back in and connect with who you are and for real. Um, Journaling can be very helpful. It's a safe outlet for processing your thoughts and emotions. Creative expression, art, music, writing, dancing, finding healthy ways to express what may be difficult to articulate. Sometimes you can only dance it out. Sometimes you can only act it out. Sometimes you can only draw it out. Sometimes you can only cry it out. And all of those creative expressions or processes of release are helpful in the process. So finding safety is important to rebuild your sense of self. That could look like surrounding yourself in spaces that feel really good and safe and are sensorially appealing and that look good and feel good and smell good and taste good and are just a pleasant experience because you may need that. Reclaiming your body is also a major part that may be difficult to do alone but also may be very scary to introduce somebody else into. That could look like uh, mm, massage therapy, which I know can sound like I don't want nobody touching on me, but they are professionals. And as a professional myself, we have the ability to um, read what the body is going through and help you release it and activate trigger points and pressure points in different places in your body that will allow you to comfortably and safely release what is still being stored in your body, right? And in those spaces you can release the trauma that the body is holding on to. In those spaces you can be grounded with assistance of someone else that is helping you navigate an experience that shifted your being. Um, Also, again, boundaries. I don't know if I need to reiterate anything about boundaries or core values. I've said it in every single episode this entire season. But making sure that you have strong boundaries is integral to this point in time in your life. And um, making choices and decisions about your life that make you feel empowered and autonomous, which essentially just means make you feel like you're in control, are integral. Um, Getting involved in advocacy and sharing your story may help others find the courage and power who identify with your story to do something about it. That may be the walk that you choose, or it may not be. Again, self disclosure is your choice and your decision, and you don't have to become an advocate if this is not what you're trying to do with your life. Um, but if it is, go for it. Be supportive to someone else, be a safe space for someone else, even if it's not your profession or what you make of your life. You don't have to find your identity in being a survivor. It could just be another list on your resume. It doesn't have to be everything you are, right? um, and also challenge negative thought patterns, whether you seek to do that with assistance, through community, or just by yourself. Checking your thoughts like, we ain't doing that today. Nope, we're not going there. Nope, not at all. Um, yeah, no. I, I, I will, I will add this. I sought so much refuge in the Bible to get a better understanding of justice and how God saw um, the God of the Bible, how the God of the Bible, God saw rape and injustice. And I came across the story of Tamar, and I was outraged, and I was so upset, and I was like, David, how could you let this happen, bro? Like right under your own nose. Um, but it did happen, right? And his response to it wasn't necessarily the greatest, and it led to just absolute mayhem for him hiding in a cave for years, hiding from his own son because he handled it so poorly. But what I realized is that God doesn't handle it poorly for us. And it took me a long time to connect those dots and see that in other stories, there were brothers that were like, absolutely not, everyone must die because of the violation. So there's direct contrast in how people handle it and the results and consequences of not handling it right. And I can lean on that. I've also found peace in God consciousness and higher self thoughts and processes where um, I can look at the situation in a multi-tier. Carolyn Miss has a really good book about trauma, and in that, it talks about how you write the trauma of the person that traumatized you and get a better understanding of what may have been the motivation. And sometimes when you're in the beginning of your process, you're like, I don't give a damn about nothing about this person. They horribly hurt me. I don't care what happened to them. But typically, people don't perpetuate pain on others unless pain was perpetuated on them. So when you get to a point at the end of the process, releasing that person and understanding that you, not only were you not at fault, but it would have been someone else had it not been you. It had nothing to do with you at all. You were just in that space at that time. That person was going to do that, period, because that's who they were, not who you are. So I said all that to say sexual assault is nothing that you are, right? It is everything that that person is or was or had an opportunity to do, right? The opportunity presented itself and they took it because of who they were or are, not because of who you are. And who you are has to be who you are in spite of what has been done. And that may seem hard right now or impossible right now, or this may be affirming what you've already decided in your heart, mind, and soul. However, in your personal thought process of challenging those thoughts, affirm yourself, remind yourself that you are still worthy, that even if you may have had family members that didn't fight for you, even if you may have had friends that didn't understand and dismissed you, even if you may have been in situations where those around you didn't believe you or didn't care or could not handle it or didn't have the capacity, that you are still worthy of someone having that capacity, space, time, love, admiration, and value for you. Your situations that were inflicted upon you by other people has nothing to do with your worth. And whoever tries to say that it diminishes your worth or your value is incorrect, and they are wrong. And their concept and their thought process is not aligned with where you're going. So release them and it and whatever else, because you are worthy, you are valuable, and you can change the trajectory of your life regardless of what somebody else inflicts upon you. That has more to do and everything to do with who they are and nothing to do with you. So even if someone has given you this gift of sexual assault, you can make it whatever you want it to be. And there are ways and there are methods of help that are available and ready for you whenever you want them. Again, if I am not the person for you, I can help you find the person for you. And if I don't know somebody, I know somebody that knows somebody. So, hey, there's somebody to help you, okay? So don't let that be a limitation to keep you from adopting a life of peace. Okay, And it's also important that you remember that patience is a powerful tool. Being patient with yourself, being patient with the process, and not expecting it to look like someone else's process is integral for your experience. So trust the process, even when it feels overwhelming. Even when you're having a down day, okay? Check in with yourself regularly. Check in with yourself and be honest with yourself and those around you, of where you are. Love and support is here for you. And I thank you for listening today, for tuning in, and I really truly hope that you felt some kind of support or some kind of positive experience from today, whether it be at my expense or whatever. I hope that it was beneficial for you. And again, supernovabody.com. Visit it, social media, whatever. If you need more support, I am here and available. And if it ain't me, it could be anybody, and I help you find them. So you don't have to ever feel like you without community. Get in a space and a place that's for you. Okay. All right. I am so grateful that you took this journey with me, wherever you may have taken it, at whatever time you may have taken it. And I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I love you. All right, bye.